Erricka Bridgeford. She trains mediators, teaches conflict resolution skills, co-organizes a movement that rallies Baltimore City to avoid violence during 3-day weekends, and performs rituals for every person who is murdered in Baltimore. Her life has been impacted by murder since she was 12 years old, and she has been working for over 20 years to ensure that murder does not have the last say. From addressing rape culture to advocating for the death penalty repeal, Bridgeford's ability to influence social injustice is fueled by her commitment to transforming her personal pain into hope and action. So we are sitting here with one of the most powerful people I have ever met. And I know some people are off put by the word power, but we need to understand that power is, when wielded well and righteously, is a good thing. And it's a damn good thing when it shows up in Black women, and in Black women who are able to move mountains when called upon. So, how you doing, Ericka?
Hi. I'm doing really good today, actually.
Good. Tell us a little bit about, you started off saying that you blessed 5 murder spaces today. I'm sitting here exhausted because I watched CNN, and you blessed 5 murder spaces. So tell us about that. What does that mean?
Yes. So it started because my brother was killed in 2007, and I watched my mom go, like, either avoid that entire neighborhood, or if she had to go through there, she would go all around in a circle just so she didn't have to go down the block where my brother was murdered. And so it dawned on me that when people know a murder has happened somewhere, they can feel it as they're approaching the area. And so it means that the energy of the murder is still in the space. The confusion, the anger, the whatever all of that stuff is still there. And the people who know that it happened there, they're, aware of it, neighbors, family members, loved ones. But even people who don't know it, you can feel just certain kinds of trauma when you ride through neighborhoods, right? And so it dawned on me that we just deserve more than that the places where people get killed should be sacred ground, and that people should have blessed spaces to move through, that murder should not have the last say and should not be the last memory. It's a God transaction. Although it's murder that happened right there, it's a God transaction, just like birth is, And so we, just like somebody showed up to kill the person, people should show up to honor their life and to honor that their life matters. And so the purpose of a sacred space ritual is to honor that we exist before we take a body, and we still exist after we lay a body down. And that whatever journey we took while we were in that body matters, our pain losing that body matters, and to just heal and bless and replace all of that, the toxic energy from the murder, to purposely fill that space with love and light in that person's honor. Something else that we do is we're wise about what we say out loud in the space, especially if loved ones are there. But when we're blessing spaces, it's not just about, like, sending love and light to the person in their new journey, and whatever it is they're going to be doing now outside of the body that we knew, and sending love and light to their family and love to all the neighbors and all of that. So we burn sage, we burn frankincense, we burn lily, we play music, we bring all the medicines, bitch, because, it's just all of it. But also we're very intentional about how we're vibrating in the space, and that we are checking any of our own thoughts and feelings of revenge toward the person who committed the murder. Because when you understand murder as an epidemic, you know that if you just pile a bunch of people's bodies off to the side because they killed somebody, you're not going to heal a murder epidemic if you just throw those people away. We have to take full responsibility about how a person got created to a space that they ended up taking a life. right? Society created that. They were not born with a gun. Their mother didn't raise them like, oh, I can't wait till my baby grow up and kill somebody. Like, that's not what that is. And so in blessing the murder space, especially when somebody tells us like, oh, he ran down the street and bent the corner, like when they tell us what route a person came before they shot the person, we go back and walk the entire route and bless and stage the entire route. But then also we purposely send the shooter new opportunities and new choices and new, like because we know that in his route on his way to shoot somebody, they were making a decision that they were not going to be able to take back. But in the moment, they thought they had to do it. This was their only choice. So if we want them to have different choices, we got to send that energy their way. We can't just pile them up in a corner somewhere. And so it really is about, we're doing vibration work in those spaces, but we're also just doing physical loving on people work. So people will say, today this little boy was like, what's that? And I said, it's sage. He said, that get away the bad energy and stuff. And I was like, how you know? He was only like 6 years old. I said, how you know? And he was like, because my mother got that. I was like, oh, I did. Like,
all right. So
people recognize sage when they see it, right, and smell it. Corner boys be like, yo, come get these demons off of me. And they will line up with their arms out, and we just be smudging all the fucking corner boys. Like, and what,
Yeah.
So when people ask us come into our house to bless their entire house, it's amazing.
So
it's amazing.
So one, yes, that sounds like it is transformative in so many ways. I would love to be there to see the corner boys asking to get saged out the gate. I need to see that.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Right. And you were telling me earlier that the sage even tells you where the murder happened if no one else is there to tell you, and then someone always comes up that is associated with it, then tells you that this is what happened.
So what happens is, it's public knowledge that a murder happened, but when you look up who got killed, it tells you the block that it happened in. So you show up in that block, and then you gotta find evidence of the exact spot, right? Because I get in the exact spot and get down on my hands and knees and bless the concrete and all types of shit. So I'm looking for the exact spot. And so you come into the neighborhood, and it's amazing to me. It can be dead of winter, 7:30, dark at night, and somebody will still happen to come outside that we can ask, and they'll tell us where the spot is. But what we notice is a lot of times the sage will suddenly catch on fire. And I mean, so like when you understand the just physiology of sage, right? It generally will catch on fire either if it's been burning for a long time and it's really hot, it might like catch on fire, or if a wind suddenly comes and blows real hard, it'll catch on fire. And so things that will happen is it cannot be a windy day and all of a sudden a strong wind will blow and the sage will catch on fire. Or the sage has not been burning very long and it'll just whoosh, catch on fire. And it's a fire that's hard to put out. And like 98% of the time when that happens, then we'll see somebody and be like, oh, do you know the spot where the person got shot? Like, where were they laying? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, it's like 3 feet from where you standing. We got out the car one time and the sage caught on fire as soon as I lit that bitch. And I was like, okay, the sage won't go out. I don't know what's happening. And then this lady looked out her window and was like, yeah, he got killed right here in front of my house. Y'all parked in the spot where the car was. And then she said the other boy that got shot with him, this was the double shooting I was just telling you about. She was like, the boy that got shot with him, he lived next door. And so I just happened to be saging in front of that house, and she was like, oh, the other person lived right there. That's wild, because I sage trees all the time too, because trees have almost the exact genetic makeup as humans. So it dawned on me today, right? Ain't that wild? That's just a whole nother fucking show. But so it dawned on me that trees absorb like the same way we do, all of the trauma and stuff when the shooting happens. So anyway, I'm saging a tree, And they like, oh yeah, the other guy lives right there. And then while we are about to bless the actual spot where the car was, a car pulls up behind us. A man and a woman get out. The man says, what's that, Sage? And we were like, yeah, somebody got killed right here. He was like, yeah, I'm the other guy that got shot in that shooting.
Wow.
And so I was able to have he watched us bless the space. And then I was able to have a whole conversation with him about how he just blessed my whole entire fucking soul. Because normally I show up at a space and I start talking to the person who got killed. Like I'm having a conversation with them outside of their body on the other side. And I told him the fact that I'm not blessing this space in your honor right now, and that I'm looking in your eyes and blessing your life instead while you still here. That shit just, oh my God. So miracles are still happening in Baltimore.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. What a powerful story. And I'm sure things like that unfold for you regularly because that's how the universe works. So can you tell us about how Baltimore Ceasefire got started? I know that a lot of people just think things just pop out of nowhere, but you've been doing this work for a really long time. So please tell us about how you got started in this, and also that wonderful juxtaposition that you have between the work you do during the day along with this work as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So, okay. So I have been doing peace work in Baltimore for, I became a mediator in 2001. And it happened because, so I had 3 brothers. In 2001, in the spring, my middle brother named Pop got shot by a friend of ours in broad daylight over a dice game or something. My brother got a real smart mouth, and he embarrassed the boy in front of everybody, and the boy went in the house and got a gun and shot him right there in front of everybody. And my brother was dead on arrival. He ended up surviving, but he was in the hospital for a while, medically induced coma and stuff. And so my job at the time, I didn't use a lot of my leave and, vacation and all of that stuff. So I was using my time to work half a day and then spend the half a day in the hospital waiting for my brother to wake up. And one of those days, I want to say like 5 or 6 days into that, my supervisor, when I was leaving work one day, said something smart out the side of her mouth. And it just wasn't the time. You know what I mean? And so I was like, ma'am, you have something you want to say? And she was like, you're being insubordinate. I don't like the way you're talking to me, even asking me that. So anyway, we had conflict. and her workers started choosing sides, and mostly everybody was on my side because I was right. And she called the local community mediation center to come give us conflict management training. And the person who showed up to do that training happened to be the executive director of the mediation center at the time. And at the end of the training, she came up to me and was like, you should be a mediator. And I was like, that's cute. How much do it pay? And she explained to me, well, you get the training for free and then you pay for it by volunteering time and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, mediation, this Baltimore, I don't think talking gonna work. Somebody gonna get punched in their face. And she was like, okay, well, come to the, apply for the training. So fast forward, that was the spring. Fast forward September of 2001. Guess what I'm doing when planes hitting buildings?
What you doing?
Learning how to be a mediator. And so I was like, oh, this must be a sign from God. I'm supposed to help create peace in the world because people have lost their mind, crashing planes in the buildings and stuff. So I became a mediator then. In 2002, I became a trainer. And so I'm the person that trains all of the mediators and teaches conflict management training all over the country at this point. And so in 2015, that was just a bad year. I'm like, I know people talking about 2020, but
right. 2015 was
yeah, I'm like, man, fuck the whole bitch. Like everything was just on some shit. Like
2015 felt like war. There was war. It felt like somebody was just shooting me every day.
It was crazy. In January, in January of 2015, my stepson got killed. Then Freddie Gray got killed. Then the Baltimore uprising.
Yep.
Then my best friend killed himself in May. And then my cousin got killed. And it's just, honestly, it was bad. It was a bad year.
Yeah.
So anyway, late by November, Baltimore had 300 homicides that year.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was a leader in the 300 March movement, and we were having like a state of emergency meeting. And Ogun was there, who I didn't really know at the time. I knew him through Ooh. I knew Ooh, and I knew he was close to Ooh, but I didn't. We had never really met. And
Today
he
is
came.
his birthday.
Today's Ooh's birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck up!
Yeah.
God.
May he
Oh
rest
my
in
God.
peace.
This made all the sense. This makes all the sense right now. Okay, so Ogun comes up to me after the meeting, and he was like, I had this idea about calling a ceasefire, like just for a day, telling everybody in the city, like, let's put the guns down at least for a day. And I feel like you somebody I should talk to about that. And I was like, you damn straight I'm somebody you should talk to about that. And 2 years went by, and we never talked about it.
Wow.
And then in 2017, my son was like, Ma, did you see on the news today Baltimore got the highest murder rate it's ever had? And I was like, well, how the fuck is that possible? All the work we out here doing, how is the murder rate higher than it's ever been? So I was mad and saying, oh, people need to call a ceasefire. All these gangsters say they got connection to the streets. So I'm mad about what everybody else not doing. And then the next day when I woke up still mad about what everybody else wasn't doing, I realized that wasn't about everybody else. That was about me and what I wasn't doing. And how Ogun had said, you know what I'm saying? Ogun had said this shit to me 2 years ago, and we hadn't really connected and moved on it. And so I had this in my spirit, this vision of like people just celebrating life all over the city for 3 days. So I called Ogun and I was like, how about if it was a 3-day period where it was like celebrating life and everybody being peaceful? And he was like, oh, that's great. It's going to be big. I was like, it's not really going to be big. And it's gonna be big maybe in a few years. And he was like, oh no, this shit gonna blow immediately. I was like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about, but okay. And then he was like, he said, okay, it's gonna get big and you just have to be ready for it to get big, because I'm not gonna be the one that's talking to cameras and stuff. That's gonna be all you doing this shit.
That is so wild that Ogun said that.
Right, it was a man-woman transaction. Like he planted the seed, I birthed it. That's what happened. And he was right, because that was May of 2017.
Yeah.
And we had that first meeting on May 9th where we were just calling it a life over death weekend. We knew it was going to be the first Friday through Sunday of August. And we called the news and put out a press release and everything after that meeting. It got named the Baltimore Ceasefire and the Baltimore Peace Challenge at that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We sent it to all the news, and these motherfuckers told us it's not news yet. Y'all gotta wait until the day after the ceasefire. We'll see what happened, and depending on how the weekend went, that's what we'll report on. So we was like, all right, then bet. And so we just, made all the posters and flyers available. So people all over the city came to get the free flyers and posters and started putting them everywhere. So by like the end of June, beginning of July, the media was now seeing these ceasefire posters everywhere. Right? And we purposely didn't put any organization's name on it, any phone number, any email. It just said Baltimore Ceasefire, bitch, it belonged to everybody. And so they had a hard time now finding us. So it became news, and it broke the internet. It was like trending on Reddit or some shit, which I totally didn't understand. All my white friends had to call me and be like, do you know that you have like however many thousands or something on Reddit? I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And my homeboy was like, you broke the internet, bitch. You broke the internet. That's what happened. So yeah. So that's how the ceasefire started. And it's things like that I could not have imagined, because I just thought it was going to be people having like cookouts and block parties all weekend. Mm-hmm. And then it become people doing all-night resource fairs. And the Great Blacks and Wax Museum did a ceasefire time capsule thing where they had people make peace things and bury it in there. It's just like, it's amazing the things that people have come up with, the life affirming events that people do all ceasefire weekend. When somebody gets killed, so what happens is we ask people, plan a life affirming event. We put it on the calendar so that everybody will see all the things that's happening all over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody gets killed during a ceasefire weekend, we then we contact the family, we give the family money, and we call everybody to the space to bless the murder space.
Mm-hmm.
And I often keep in contact with the family. So we've been able to build relationships with families who've lost their children, lost their people during the ceasefire. And it sounds weird, but that's actually one of my favorite things. Like, I feel, because I know how much you mistrust people after your person get killed.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that people don't know me from a can of paint, and on one hand, they're like, oh, I hope I would never have to meet you because I see you on the news.
Right.
Like, people see you as the murder lady, right? So they
Right.
like, ooh, I hope I just run into her in the supermarket or something. But I hope, like, I don't actually have to meet her because that means somebody I love got killed.
Right.
But although they feel that way, then they also, like, can't believe how many people in the city really were working hard to try to keep their person from getting killed that weekend. And
Right.
how many people care that their person got killed. And now we have $500 to give their family, and we stay in contact, and I bring my mother with me. And, and so I'm just really honored that people trust me with their pain at a time like that, to be all in it.
Right. And so you said something there. You said you give $500. So does that go toward, like, how often do you give
they
it?
want.
Well, no, I'm saying how often do you give it?
So every time somebody gets killed during a ceasefire, we give those families $500.
Okay.
When people get killed outside of a ceasefire, if people reach out to us and say, hey, do y'all have money to give? Then we also give money to help families too.
How was that funded?
How is it funded, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Donations. The Baltimore Ceasefire is not an organization, it's a movement. So there's no building you can go to, there's no staff that's getting paid yet. It's really just, so there's literally been donations from all over the world. And what's crazy is when the murder rate goes up in Baltimore, the ceasefire suddenly gets a lot more donations. Like, it's just like this, you know what I mean?
So
like,
people are now understanding that this is the conduit to help people heal.
It gives people something they can do.
Yes.
Like, oh, people getting killed in my city, let me support the ceasefire work, because they believe that the work we're doing is actually helping people when their person gets killed, or trying to stop people from getting killed or whatever. And so the reason we're able to have $500 to give to people is because of donations.
Yeah. So how long what's the longest run, the stretch? Like, so Baltimore is, for those who don't know, because we have people from all over on our network, on the Brown and Healthy Network, so all over the globe. So people who are on the call who don't necessarily know this, Baltimore is a 64% Black city, right? So 9 times out of 10, when Erricka shows up to something, it has got something to do with a Black person and another Black person. So my question here is, how long has it gone? What's the longest stretch that we have had? No, like you often say, nobody kill nobody.
So what happened was, the very first ceasefire weekend was August of 2017. Cities around the country started being like, oh, show us how to do that. So we did. One city that actually, I'm putting this in context for a reason to answer your question. Because of spirituality.
Okay.
So Hagerstown, Maryland, which got to be one of the most racist places in the freaking country. These motherfuckers, the KKK, recruit in broad daylight out this bitch. They put rocks on your porch where they'll put like a bunch of black rocks and a few white rocks, and the note that be like, do you want your community to look like this? More Black people than white people. Like, and if not, join the KKK. Like, they do that shit. So you can be Black and walk out of your house, and that's the shit that's on your porch one morning. So Hagerstown is wild, right? Hagerstown said we want to do it, right? So I talked to them. They use the logo, but so they call theirs Hagerstown Cease Pain, because their big problem is drug overdoses and suicide. And so the very first February ceasefire weekend was the very first Hagerstown Cease Pain weekend. So they do their cease pains the same time we do ceasefires, February, May, August, and November. So this was the first February one. So we were all excited. They was promoting our weekend. We were promoting theirs. It was all this energy going back and forth. We went up to Hagerstown to attend some of their events during our ceasefire weekend. They had a successful cease pain. Nobody overdosed. Nobody killed themselves. We had nobody got killed in Baltimore those 3 days. And then we wake up and it's Monday and nobody got killed. And it's Tuesday and nobody got killed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, bitch, it's been 5 days. Nobody still got killed. So I go online. We had these T-shirts that got made that said, nobody killed anybody, past tense. Because now we like, okay, now we know it can happen, right? So I say, if we go 7 days with nobody getting killed, I'm going to wear this shirt for 7 days. We hit 7 days, nobody still got killed. So now I'm literally wearing this shirt for 7 days. Baltimore went 11 and a half days with nobody getting killed. Yeah. And that was the first time that it had gone that long since March of 2014. So 4 years since Baltimore had more than 10 days with nobody getting killed.
Wow.
So now there was all these debates online, because people who don't do shit love debating shit that they don't have.
Come on with the church.
So all the people that's sitting at home on the sideline cheerleading, and I just want to say this real quick. My father was a Black Panther. He named me after a Panther, Erricka Huggins, and my middle name is Angela after Angela Davis. So he's explained to me, some people supposed to be cheerleaders. They shouldn't be on the front line because they would be fucking some shit up if they were. So that's their job. Sit on the front line and cheer where the fuck you belong and let me get this work. Okay. So all the people, they debating, well, it must have went that long because it's February and it's cold outside. I wasn't buying that shit. My brother got killed on January 22nd, 2007, one of the coldest days of the fucking year. Cold don't give a fuck. Murder don't care that it's cold outside, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, no, that can't be it. So there was all these debates about why the city went that long. So we was like, fuck it. We gonna go ask the people who vulnerable to shooting the shit out of somebody. What was y'all doing for this 11 and a half days? So we go to Penn North. And we meet with some people who I can't say who they were. But we met with some people. We fed them because, food matters and you build relationships over food. So we took some people to dinner. And we was like, yo, what was y'all doing in this 11 and a half days? And what they told us was beefs absolutely happened in that time. Mm-hmm. But people, because we were talking about how many days, the news eventually picked it up. Right. So then it was on the news how many days it was gone with nobody getting killed. So it was a buzz around the city now. So the streets were aware nobody had been killed. Mm-hmm. So they were coming to the leaders, whoever they considered to be their leader. They were coming to them saying, yo, so-and-so did blase blah to me, and I feel like he's trying to get it. But we on day 6 and nobody getting killed in the city, and I don't want to be that guy, yo.
Wow. I don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy. Wow. So we got to do something about this. So they was doing stuff like, okay, the leader would send down a decree. Y'all got to fight. This day at this time in this open field or in this lot, we gonna block off. Anybody who wanna come is gonna be a nigga at the gate taking everybody's guns.
Wow.
Nobody can jump in it. It's y'all to fight, and after the fight is over, that's it. Nobody can retaliate. Nobody can be mad. Nobody can jump in it. That's it. Y'all just gotta fight, and that be it. That's what they was doing during that time.
Wow.
Penn North. So I don't even know what else was happening all over the rest of the city, but if that shit was happening in Penn
North, then that's a high spot. If you're unaware of Baltimore geography, Penn North is a high spot. So if it's happening at the epicenter, then that was rippling across the city.
And I can't imagine what was happening in Park Heights and what was happening in You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody was, the main point was, I'm not trying to be that guy, yo.
Trying to be that guy.
To kill somebody when everybody know we had 7 days in Baltimore and nobody got killed. Like, I just don't want to be that guy.
So what does it feel like to be, like you were saying, there's people who are cheerleaders, there's people who are going to be pundits, they're going to do the thing, they're going to get on the internet, they're going to do all that. But then there are the doers. You know, there's people who start things, who get it done, who put things in motion, one foot in front of the other, and you are clearly that. How does it feel to know that you held such space, that you helped hold such space and create such space for these grown men to take it back to schoolyard politics?
Right.
Right. They
right.
literally went back to the way, you know, let's just throw some hands. And this goes beyond color. This is just humanity. Like, this, get it out the way, and this is how we're going to go. How does it feel to be a part of that? And then there, you take it another step, because you go there and you talk to the people about what are the root causes for their violence, for what's happening to them. So, twofold question: how does it feel to hold and create that kind of space? What does that do to you and for you? And what's the other step when you're having these conversations with people?
Yeah. So the first part is, it really does feed me, because I'm very aware that I'm commissioned to do the work that I'm doing. I'm authorized to do the work that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And because I have been called, I haven't just been called, I've answered the call on my life, on my journey. Right. And I know I'm very clear that this is a reason that I came back. It's not a mistake that I was born when I was born. I was born with one hand. So I already look broken. So ain't shit y'all can do to me that ain't already been done. You know, like, I'm very clear. I'm very clear about some things, you know. And so, because I know that I'm here to be like the best that I know how to be, then, like, a lot of times I know that it feeds me to work. So, like, when I bless 5 murder spaces in a day, I should be exhausted. I should be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this interview at 7:00 tonight. I'm done. But I get that there are legions of ancestors and spirit guides walking with me on a daily basis. I'm very aware of their presence. Right. I'm aware that when I show up in a murder space, the person who got killed shows up on the block with me. Right. That's a real thing when the Bible talks about one or more gathered in my name. I'm showing up in that bitch. So if I show up in your name in the spot where you got killed, you ain't got no choice but to come where I'm at. Right. Right. Just like when we in our bodies, if you think about some shit, if you think about getting pulled over, you getting pulled over tomorrow. That's right. It's the way that things work. So when we not in a body, that shit happens at the speed of light. As soon as you think of them, they right here in front of your face, right? Right. And so because I'm aware that I am constantly surrounded by legions of spirit beings, I'm fed by showing up and doing the things that I'm supposed to do. Meanwhile, and so when things like that happen, like, you know, the guys actually tell me what they was doing for 11 days, or people actually tell me where somebody got killed. They don't know me. I could be them boys, and they telling me where somebody got killed. You know.
Translation: them boys.
I could be the police. I'm sorry. I could be the police, and they telling me, right? Now, at this point, they see me on the news enough that they be like, oh, that's the crazy one-armed girl that say shit on the news all the time. So, like, I built a reputation and credibility at this point. But so for me, it is remembering Baltimore's humanity, right? So it's not a surprise to me that they went back to schoolyard, because nobody is more tired of murder than dudes that gotta carry a gun every day. Right? They using more people than anybody. They going to more funerals than anybody. And so they appreciate a break, or that people care enough about their life that we at least asking them, yo, can we just have 3 days where don't nobody get killed? Just like real quick, 3 days. Like, they appreciate that somebody at least trying, even if they think it's not going to quote unquote work. And so things like that don't surprise me, because I know that they are human too. And just like And they got a rumbling in their spirit too, that like, this is not how stuff's supposed to be. The way that we live in, this is not who we call to be for real. And so they notice, oh, right, we can live in this way where we just celebrating life and we just, handling our conflicts differently. They notice that shit when they see it. And when you give people an opportunity to recognize their greatness and to do something different, they gonna take that shit. And that's all people are doing, is when they know that when they have the opportunity, they taking the opportunity. So it makes me feel blessed. It makes me feel honored. It makes me feel proud, because I really want to. There's this guy I don't even know, but he always comment on my shit. He be like, "That's right, girl, die empty," and that just hit me to my bones every time, because it's like I want to die empty. When I take my last breath, I don't want to be in my head going, "What if I had said this one more thing? What if I had done this?" When I cross over and I talk to my ancestors, and they like, "And what did you do with your time while you was there?" I need to be able to say I did what I was called to do. And so when things happen, it just confirms for me I'm on the right path. Right, you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And then the second part of your question. So what we do is we tell people, when you out telling people about the next ceasefire weekend that's coming, don't just sound like you are naive and you just be like, "Oh, don't kill nobody for these 3 days." Talk to people, have conversations. What are you going through in your life? What do you need? Because that's the way our self-efficacy shows up. That's the way we are our own saviors. We're not waiting for politicians. We're not waiting for who about to be the next mayor. It's 75,000 motherfuckers running for mayor in Baltimore.
That is the truth.
Like some white lady we ain't never fucking heard of is in the top running about like Mary Miller. Nobody never heard of this chick. And she just all of a sudden, she like in the top, like about to win. Money. So, like, we can't wait for something. We have to be one-on-one, hand to hand, talking to each other. So we tell people, when you're in whatever community, and even if people tell you, "Oh, the ceasefire is dumb, it's not going to work, somebody going to get killed," whatever they say, okay, well, what kind of stuff you going through? What do you think will work? What do you need? Because then people start talking to you about real stuff they're going to do in their life. And the truth is, Baltimore is not resource deficient.
Say it again.
Baltimore is not resource deficient.
Right.
Right. So if there's an injustice in Baltimore, there are at least 3 nonprofits working to heal that thing.
Right.
So if you're having a conversation with somebody and they telling you about something they're going through, you probably know 2 places you can refer them to. Or you can make a quick Facebook post and ask for recommendations and get some information back to them. And so it's one way that we save ourselves. So the point is not even like, do you know about the next ceasefire weekend? You can think I'm stupid for being out here trying to promote peace. But what you going through though? And so when you connect with people that way, then they end up being like, "Oh, well, give me one of them flyers though. I'm gonna give it to my mother." And what I love is, even when people think it's stupid, they don't throw it on the ground. They put the flyer in their back pocket. This is one of my favorite things I noticed, because when you get undressed at night, I don't think about who people are on Facebook or in the street, or in the corner with their friends. I think about, who are you when you are in your room at night getting undressed and nobody else is around?
Come on.
Right? Because if what you did at 4:00 in the afternoon is when I walked up to you with my big, "Don't worry, be happy," smiley face ass, and I'm talking to you about the ceasefire, and you be like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm glad somebody trying, but this Baltimore, I don't know. And I'm like, "All right, that's good. We just want you to know we love you, blah, 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 whatever," right? And they be like, "All right, Mom, be safe out here." And they put that shit in their back pocket. I'm like, "Got you, my nigga." Because when you get in the house tonight and you get undressed, what you do, you empty your pockets. You go through all your pockets, and you going to have this dumbass, nobody kill anybody, Baltimore ceasefire, and that's what you're going to sleep with on your spirits.
Yes.
When you get your pockets at night.
Yes. Wow.
So you get killed tomorrow, you can't meet your maker saying nobody ever told you was loved. Nobody ever cared about you. Nobody ever tried to save you because you got a Baltimore Ceasefire flyer now on your dresser when you emptied your pockets at night.
Wow. Wow.
That matters.
That matters. That matters. So I'm gonna ask just a couple more questions, and then I'm gonna open it up for Q&A.
Okay.
And that's when I will unmute folks and take questions. We have quite a few people on this call, so I'm very excited about that. But we're gonna do it in an orderly fashion once we get there. So yeah, I'm taking in everything that you're saying because it goes hand in hand. It's a microcosm of the macrocosm, like of the bigger picture, right? So the things that are happening in Baltimore are happening in Detroit. The things happening in Baltimore are happening in Indianapolis. The things that are happening in Baltimore are happening in Atlanta. Like in Miami and in these other black cities, and it's saying that this is my saying. I lived in Baltimore for 20 years. From Baltimore City. That's what I say. I got there when I was 18, lived there till I was 39. That's home, right? So that's all I know from my adult life. And what I know is if it works in Baltimore, it works everywhere else.
Absolutely.
Because it is one of the hardest nuts to crack. It is one of the hardest cities to get through to people. And the fact that you have to be so intentional in the details of saying, when you take this flyer and putting the energy on the flyer and saying, I know that when you go home and it's on your dresser, that it's affecting you. We have to be that intentional to get to people, right? So you have this ability to do that, and you're not just doing this yourself. You have a crew that does this work with you, and you also you created systems. You created the protocol for this work, and you've done it in schools. You've given it to schools, and you also have packets that you can give to other people in other cities. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So the work gets done on the ground by anybody in the city. So anybody can come pick up flyers and posters and be going through neighborhoods giving them out, right? But also we created what we call Baltimore Ceasefire schools. And so what happened was my boss on my regular job, where I actually get paid, I teach mediation and conflict management. My boss figured that I was probably using my regular work time to do ceasefire work. She was right. So she found funding to pay for 10 hours of my week to do ceasefire work. And so I decided what I wanted to do with that time was build culture in schools, build ceasefire culture in schools. So I had to, decide what the deliverables and all of that stuff. So I picked 3 schools. And what I do is I give a training to those schools, an 8-hour training that teaches the values and history of the movement, why we do and don't do things a certain way, emotional intelligence, conflict management skills, self-care, because you're facing murder and violence in your community on purpose. So I give training to the school, which means that people who have to go through the training are students, staff, administration, and parents and community members who live in the neighborhood. Even if they don't have kids at the school, they're invited to be in the training. I make sure that they have hundreds of flyers and posters because the students from kindergartners up, they go out, their teachers take them out into the community to put ceasefire posters all around. When we had that 11.5 days, the kids at Creative City, that school is in Park Heights, it's an elementary school. And so the little kids the teachers were sending me videos of the kids going, our posters worked because nobody got killed. Like, they believe that because they put posters up around their neighborhood, nobody got killed in Park Heights for 11.5 days.
And they should believe that.
They should believe it, right?
Yeah.
Because you find out your voice matters. And that's something they're never going to forget, right?
Right.
And so we make sure they have hundreds of flyers and posters. Each ceasefire school always does events on their own during ceasefire weekends. So they decide what kind of life affirming events they're doing at their school. And then we support them to, whatever they need to make their event successful. And so, and we also have ceasefire ambassadors outside of school. So we have, we realize there's 6 of us organizers, and we can't be everywhere because all of us have regular full-time jobs. So we can't do all the presentations and stuff that people want us to do. So we recruit people to be leaders in the movement. Youth starting at 12 years old up through however old you want to be. And so they go through an application and interview process, and then if they make it through there, then they go through an ambassador training. So the ambassador training and the training that we give in the schools is the same training. So basically, you end up with community ambassadors in those school communities, and then you end up with citywide ambassadors because we got people, from all over the city who have been trained to be ceasefire ambassadors. So it means that they have the seal of approval of the movement, that when this person speaks, they speak based in the values and the stance of the movement. We have 30 ambassadors right now, and most of them are youth.
Wow.
And our next training is in July, and right now we have 55 applications.
Wow. Wow.
So we gotta go through 55 applications and interviews and stuff and see, like, what do we do? Do we add more training? Is it going to be online? Is it going to be in person? Because, the pandemic stuff messed up the whole way life happens. And so it might actually help, though, because we can train 50 people online. I would never put 50 people in a room because of the way the training happens is very interactive, and the learning is better when you have groups of 20 and less, right? Because you can get individual, making sure you're answering people's questions and all of that kind of stuff. Bigger than that, people start to get lost in the cracks, and you're not really sure who learned what for real. But if we got to do online training anyway, then we can do it differently. We can figure out ways to do it where we can train more people. So I'm real excited at the amount of ambassadors who are parents who've lost their children to violence, siblings who've lost their people to violence. Like, it's just white people who thought that, murder was just a black people thing. And because we show up, I love when people ask me to come speak somewhere and it's mostly white people, because the first thing I tell them is that they white.
Yeah. You white.
So check it. Y'all white. And as white people, you think murder is that's black people not caring enough about themselves. And so you think you get to wash your hands of a murder epidemic, never understanding that it's violent systems of oppression of which you benefit from. And so living in that privilege means that you benefit off of systems that then have other people living in criminal conditions, and then you get to talk down about them and call them savages. Right.
And you perpetuate it. You don't get to just sit in it. You also perpetuate it.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's a big part of the reason why it's not just the ceasefire. It's also called the Baltimore Peace Challenge, because that's for all of the people who like, well, I wasn't planning on killing nobody anyway, so they're not talking to me. And I'm like, well, bitch, are you as peaceful as you can be though? Because probably not. The fact that you're even saying that tells me you petty as shit.
Ready, right? You ready?
There's a peace challenge for your ass. Can you intentionally, for 72 hours, pay attention to your thoughts, your words, and your deeds, and all that shit be peaceful for 72 hours? That's a challenge for everybody.
Yeah.
You need some default mode. No, I'm from West Baltimore. My default mode is nubbing somebody in their fucking face. That's my default mode.
Not nubbing.
This is all bone and muscle right here. Like, you don't want this word, but that's my first thought, and then I'd be like, oh, I might not pose to just nub everybody in the throat. Maybe I should think and pray and come up with a different response.
Let me find out. The peace challenge was first for Erricka, and
first then for me.
Everybody else.
And I tell people that, like, when people are like, oh, but revenge, right? So I just want to say this real quick because I think that it's important for people to understand those who can't really, it's good that we teach. Like I don't have a quick temper, but when I get mad, I have a bad temper.
Mm-hmm.
And when my brother got killed, my mother loves telling the story about how I had two other brothers and a bunch of boy cousins. And when my brother got killed, people were all worried about what all the boys in our family were going to do. And my mother keeps telling people to this day, the person they should have been worried about was Erricka. Y'all wasn't thinking about the fact that Erricka was about to be the one that was getting ready to make some shit for real happen.
Mm-hmm.
I was absolutely plotting on the person who killed my brother. I was absolutely in that space.
Right.
And I knew that nobody would have saw it coming from me.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that made it even easier. Like, okay, well, you know.
Right. Right.
And so I cried when I realized I could not take a life as justification as to honor my brother's life. Like that, another murder, another family in grief would not honor my brother's life. It wouldn't honor the pain that I was watching my mother and father go through. It wouldn't, you know. So even though I knew it was the right decision, I cried over that fucking decision when I realized that revenge was eating up all of my energy that I needed to grieve and heal. Like revenge feels like power. It feels like it's really going to take, but it drains the shit out of you. And then you know, you follow through with it. And guess what? You still got grief every birthday, every holiday, the wind can blow wrong. And I'm zapping out about losing my brother all these years later. Like, revenge sucks everything you need to heal and get through life, never seeing your loved one again. So when I realized that, and I had to make a decision not to do anything that would lead to this man's life being lost, and instead, like, I actually wanted to talk to him. I wanted me and my mother to maybe talk to his mother. I wanted, like, it changed what I actually wanted for myself, what justice was going to look like or feel like, and I still got none of that. So what do you do in a city where when your person get killed, you probably not going to get whatever justice look like? Right? It's the reason I go so hard at everything I do as well, because the kind of pain that I can live with, the kind of grief that I can live with losing so many people to murder, it's the kind of thing that's either going to swallow you up whole, or you're going to use it and push it out, to push your heart out into the world to try to change things. And so I choose to use it outwardly, you know. But I don't judge people that kill people when I know I was 2 seconds from killing the nigga that killed my brother.
Right.
That's what being a peace lady means to me. And when people are like, oh, you're the peace lady. I'm the peace lady because I'm choosing not to kill people. And I get how hard that is.
Wow. And then there's always just that thing, right? We're in leadership where you really never supposed to ask people or expect things of people that you aren't willing to do yourself.
That's right.
Or that you haven't had to do yourself.
That's really good. I think
learn how to do yourself. You never enter into a situation that, you know, as a leader and aren't ready to put on those shoes, or aren't ready to learn, or aren't ready to acknowledge, as you have, that you are them. Right?
Absolutely.
That you have, and a lot of people shy away from being that transparent, but I know that you are that transparent with anyone who will step in your space and ask you the question. Right? And so there's power in that, and that is the mark, to me, in my opinion, of an excellent leader. So I want to thank you sincerely for sharing that piece, because that kind of transparency and vulnerability is important. To any movement and to anything becoming stronger. And right now you're speaking to people that you probably have never met. So maybe a couple people on this call and in this conversation. So I'm just gonna one more question you, and then open it up for everyone else, because we have about 20 minutes of question and answer. Right now we are in the middle of a burning, a literal burning happening. that I foresee is going to go further into Minneapolis, because what we're seeing right now, and like I said, I watched CNN all day today because the news loop didn't actually change for once, and new things were happening. We're in the middle of seeing some real cause and effect scenarios that we haven't seen in ever. You had yesterday the prosecuting attorney for the city saying, we are slow walking this. We know it was horrendous and all this. But we're not sure if we are going to, which way we're going to go. We need all of the facts. He said that yesterday. Things started to burn. Today he got on. You following what I'm saying here is cause and effect. Things started to burn. Today he got on TV this morning, my time, and said, well, we are moving forward. We're now about to do some things with this police officer, and all of the reporters just kept asking, why is he not in custody though? Why is he not in custody though? Why is he not in custody though? That was every question, and he tried to answer it every different way but up, and he just kept trying to go around it. I on my watch, I was watching, and probably about an hour and a half later, breaking news, Chauvin has been arrested. He's been taken into custody because more things started to happen. So cause and effect, right? So this is why I see this as different, because we're actually seeing them fumbling in public, the fumbling happening, the public saying, not enough, I'm going to burn your precinct to the ground. I'm going to burn it because you ain't. And now I'm seeing results.
That was some Nat Turner shit. I saw that and I was like,
oh, but you see where I'm going with this? Like, all this time we've been taught violence, looting property, messing up property doesn't do anything. It's not going to do anything. It's doing something today. It did
something when it happened in Baltimore. Baltimore is different because of the Baltimore uprising.
Right.
Programs didn't exist.
That's very true. That's very true.
There are conversations that were not absolutely happening at a policy level. Right. There's a whole lot of stuff that only happened because people got mad and started breaking shit and burning shit.
Right. So how do you feel, just on a human level, on a level of leader, however you want to approach this question? Doesn't matter to me. How do you feel about this? Do you have a word? Because you are a leader and you are a healer, like, do you have a word for us who are struggling? I'm gonna say us because I'm struggling with this. What do you see here in happening?
I think one place that makes us struggle is we be looking for either or, and a lot of time the answer is and.
Okay.
Right. So we think either we should be completely peaceful to get change, or violence is the way.
Right.
And the truth is, when you stick an and in that bitch,
it gets layered.
I'm not gonna go out and burn nothing.
Right. And
I understand why people burn things.
Yeah.
And why they throw rocks through things, and why they zap out. Like, I'm not going to do it, and I understand all the reasons why I'm not going to do it. When we start talking about should people do it, I don't know about the shoulds, because
that's where the judgment comes in. That's judgment.
There's judgment in there because you're not in what they experience every single day to say what should. Like, I've come to understand, even when I listen to a racist or a misogynist, when I actually have conversations with them, I find out, you have come to fucked up conclusions for very valid reasons. Given the experience you have had in your life and what you've been taught and how you've been conditioned, it makes sense that you came to these very fucked up conclusions about women and Black people and everything else. So if I can understand that, I absolutely can understand how people came to a conclusion that this is the time to loot some shit and burn some shit and break some shit. Right. Because so when you understand the brain, right? Social rejection, for example, gets processed in the same part of our brain where getting physically hit gets processed.
Okay. Okay.
So what that means is, when I learned that shit and I put it in perspective with me being born with one hand, for example, that means every time somebody looked at me with pity because I had one hand, kept trying to help me when I told them no, teased me, everything that they rejected, who I am in my fullness, and they looked at me like I was broken. Those were not just words. Those were not just tones of voice. Those were not just looks. My brain processed that shit as they had just hit me.
Violence. Yeah.
Right?
Violence. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So whoever said sticks and stones will break my bones, they didn't know what the fuck they was talking about. They didn't understand the brain.
Right.
Words absolutely get processed like somebody just slapped the shit out of you. So when you take Black and brown people who are living in situations, right, there are a whole demographics of people that feel completely unheard, dehumanized, rejected, mischaracterized in society. That is constant social rejection. So these are people who constantly feel like they are being hit on a daily basis. So when some shit pop off and I got hit one more time and one of mine died, and you want to news talking about you don't know why he not in custody, thoughts and prayers to this police precinct that's about to burn to the fucking ground.
Right. And it's also, and that speaks directly to microaggressions, what we experience every single day through the media, through when we go to work, through when we walking down the street, through any of these things. And so couple that with the historical oppression and problems that they've had in Minneapolis for decades, since go is with no end in sight, is and we're speaking specifically about this city, but this is resounding to all of us as we sit in our homes during a pandemic. During a pandemic, this man was killed in up close contact. Like, not only were you on his neck, on his body, three of you, because now there's new footage. Oh
my God.
3 men across this man's whole body during a pandemic. First of all, why do you want to be this close to me? You're so angry with my blackness and my black body that you are willing to put your health and your life and the lives of your family at risk by putting your body on my body in the middle of a pandemic. And so we dealing with those are blows. Like everything that you're saying right now, like what you just said about the way our brain processes this. Thank you, because you just set some relief on me, because I'm wondering why I feel bruised, why my body feels like I need to go rest. You know what I'm saying? And so to your point,
like been physically hit. So I get. So I'm not online saying, oh, they shouldn't be burning shit down. I'm saying pay attention to why they burning shit down. You can have all your opinions about what they should and shouldn't be doing, but in real life, it's starting a conversation we never had. In real life, I only associate Minneapolis with Mary Tyler Moore throwing her fucking head in the air.
You better than me, because I only listen Morris Day at a Time and Prince. That's where I'm at.
Right. And I was like, black people live in Minneapolis? First of all, what the fuck is black people doing in Minneapolis? That don't even sound right. But like, and now, like, so it's making me even, right?
Right.
We now talking about the history of Minneapolis. I wasn't even thinking about the history of what black people have been going through in Minneapolis since go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so now that they burn some shit down, we looking at how did they get here.
Yeah. And
how did they get here?
And on that point about understanding people's language and what's happening to them, Martin Luther King III said today, as my father explained during his lifetime, a riot is the language of the unheard.
That's right.
If I've been talking to you all this time,
yeah,
And
you
I'm
kept telling me I was taking things too seriously, and I was bringing up old shit because I kept talking about slavery and civil rights, and I was imagining microaggressions, and I just need to pull myself up by the bootstraps. When bitch, I don't even got shoes, and I made all of the bootstraps you pulling yourself up by.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the only cop to ever be convicted of killing someone in Minneapolis was the black Muslim cop who killed by accident in a dark alley a white woman, and they rushed to convict him, and then they put more charges on him once they already did that. And I watched. There's a press conference. If you want to look it up, there's a press conference from the activists today. It was on CNN. They didn't show the whole thing, but those activists articulated beautifully every nuance that we needed to know about the work they've been doing for years in that city. And there have been case after case after case of Black person being killed by police, and those police officers still have jobs. They were never brought up on charges. They weren't even reprimanded. So what we're dealing with is, but they rushed to convict that Black cop for killing that little woman. So on that note, I'm going to unmute everybody. And I know y'all, I'm going to say this. I know y'all hot. I know y'all ready. But remember, we are having a conversation with Erricka Bridgeford, founder of Baltimore Ceasefire, about her work and her opinions on these things, because clearly she is well versed and can give can articulate some things that we are feeling. So let's just remember that. And we're also on a video call, so try not to overtalk and let's listen. I'm gonna unmute everybody.
I want to say one thing. Okay. I want to say one more thing real quick about the blessing of people zapping out in Minneapolis. So it made the Community Mediation Center in Minneapolis reach out to us in Baltimore.
Oh, yes.
Because they said, what did y'all do when this was happening in y'all city? Mm-hmm. And so we were able to tell them how helpless we felt and how we opened up our doors and what we did. And one of the things that I did at the time is people had this feeling of, I want to be the change I want to see in my city. Right, mm-hmm. because of the uprising. And so I had an extra mediation training in Baltimore that I did on my volunteer time. So 50 hours of training just for people who wanted to make a daily difference in Baltimore, come become a mediator and be a part of this work that's happening in Baltimore. And so those people who got trained to be mediators stayed some of the most dedicated volunteers, and some of them got jobs at the mediation center after that.
That's great.
So when they asked us that, we explained all of the things we did, and I offered to them to do conflict management trainings for anybody in Minneapolis who is right now feeling like, I just want to do something to be a part of the change in my city. And so on Monday, I'm doing 3 different trainings. It was going to be about 5 hours of training to give people conflict management skills, emotional intelligence skills, just thinking about how they deal with conflict, how they can respond to stuff differently, so that they just feel supported, And again, I didn't even know Black people lived in Minneapolis until now. And now I'm gonna spend all day training people, mm-hmm. on Monday. So,
And that in itself says something about the narrative, right? Like, how is it that we don't even associate our people with a place? So if I often tell people the tagline, the mission statement for Brown and Healthy is change the narrative, change the world. And when I started doing the work, which was around the time of the uprising, because like I said, I felt like I was at war every day. So I was like, if we're at war, then we need to be ready for it. So let's get this Brown and Healthy popping, right? So I often say like, if I lost my train of thought. I was what were we just talking about? I just lost my train of thought. The narrative, about the narrative. My bad, y'all. I'm human. It happens. So we're changing the narrative, change the world. And people often, when I started Brown and Healthy, they were like, "Oh, are you dealing with homeless people and poor people?" I was like, no, those people, they're always in the narrative. They're always talked about. They have plenty of resources. Who I'm dealing with are the people who don't know if they're gonna buy their groceries or pay their BG&E bill. The working Black people who, if this is a 64% Black city, it's thriving, don't get the recognition for the fact that it's thriving. So if you're not in the, my point is, if you're not being talked about in the narrative nationwide, then you are suffering because no one is addressing you. No one knows you're there, right? That is a problem. So like you said, this has turned up to say, oh no, we're here and we're part of the narrative. So I'm gonna unmute and we're gonna get to some questions. Let's see, everybody. If you want to be muted, keep your mute on, but I'm unmuting everybody. You can turn your mute back on if you want to be muted. For some reason, I can't unmute Sierra or Nadia or Rodney or Shelly. I don't know what's happening with y'all. Unmute yourselves. Patrice, I can't unmute you either. I don't know what's happening.
I'm unmuted. This is Sierra.
Okay, boom, boom. So anybody got questions? Do we have any questions?
I got a question.
Okay, Diana.
All right, so the first question, right? Diving into what you do, what was the most challenging thing you experienced while having a ceasefire event?
The hardest two, I think are equal. So during the very first ceasefire, at that time in Baltimore, people were being killed every 19 hours. During the ceasefire, we went 41 hours and nobody had been killed. So at that 41st hour, I got the notification. Well, not ironically, but interestingly, right? It's the police department that partners with us during the ceasefire weekend, at least the media section. When somebody gets killed, after they notify the family, I'm the first one that gets notified before they tell the news. And that's how we're able to tell the community that somebody got killed before the news tells the world that somebody got killed. And so we're able to say, someone got killed, here's how we're responding, show up in the space, let's go pour love and light, blah, blah, blah. So my phone dings every time somebody gets killed during the ceasefire. So somebody had been killed. I was at this really great event in the neighborhood where I grew up. And we had to go over to the space. When we got there, the fire trucks were still there to wash the blood and stuff off of the sidewalk. And so there was still water and stuff, like the blood and water were all mixed together in the drain, like in the gutter. And so you could smell blood as soon as you got out your car. My mother was in the car behind me with my kids, and her knees buckled because it dawned on her that when my brother got killed, neighbors were complaining for weeks because nobody had come and washed my brother's blood off the sidewalk. And so in this moment, it dawned on my mother that her son's blood didn't get washed, but because of her daughter, the city showed up and washed the blood immediately because they knew that when somebody got killed during the ceasefire, a bunch of people were going to show up in that space. And so I didn't know, do I come back here and comfort my mother? Do I keep walking? And so my children were surrounding my mother. And my mother looked at me and she said, go ahead, baby. You got to go do what you have to do. So I walked down the street toward the spot where the murder happened. And there are news cameras already there trying to mic me. Right? They were literally like microphones in my face, trying to put mics on my clothes. And so people perceive me as like this really jovial, nice, sweet person. They met a different Erricka in that moment.
I know that's right.
Because I was like, I know y'all not trying to make me get interviewed right now. Like, y'all gotta wait. For all of that is gonna come after I come into this space and feel what I gotta feel and do what I gotta do. And I was so mad that I had to like walk back up the street toward my car. And I sat down and I started crying, and I looked up, and there was a black woman police officer with a blonde mohawk, and she was a white shirt, which means she was they the upper police. And I looked up, and she started telling me how much she appreciated the work we were trying to do, because this was her district, and although somebody got killed, she knew how hard it was, and her nephew got killed, and blah, blah, blah. And she just started, and her name is Monique. I wish I could remember her last name, but she's a popular officer in Baltimore because this is the kind of person that she is. So she talked me through how just mad and hurt I was in that moment, and helped me get myself together. And then I was able to gather myself, go into the space and all of that. And then after we blessed the space, then I was ready, because at first I was like, I was not in the mood to do any interviews. But I had to, in that moment, that's the moment I accepted my role in Baltimore's history, really. I don't get to not do these interviews right now. Somebody got killed during the very first ceasefire. The city is waiting to see, what do I have to say? Yes. What word, what comfort, what reaction? This is I can't just be like, no, sorry, I'm too hurt. This is the standard, that place that I'm in right now. So that was that moment. And then the next time that was equally as hard is the November ceasefire. No, I'm lying. What's this? Where we just had February. What are we in right now, May? We just had May. The February ceasefire. 2 people got killed on one day. And on the Friday, 2 people got killed on that Friday. And I was on my way to, there's this rally that happens on Emerson Avenue every Friday of the ceasefire. And I was very just upset. So I was late coming. And I get there, and there's this white lady who's like, hi, I'm really excited to meet you. I love the work you're doing. I'm like, okay, great. Thanks for coming. Then I go back in the middle of the street, with my signs, acting crazy, whatever. And then she comes and says, she comes over to us, and she's like, hi, I'm Mary Miller. I'm running for mayor. Right? I had never seen this woman before in my life. So, and then the other person who was standing there it was Ogun, actually. He was like, oh, yeah, your people called us to tell us you were coming. So I was already mad at her because earlier her people emailed and called us to let us know that she was coming. And we was like, we don't give a fuck that somebody that's running to a ceasefire. Why do we need to know that?
Right.
So they chit chat for a minute, and I see she trying to get my eye or my attention. So I say, you running for mayor? And she said, yeah. I said, okay, I got a question for you. She said, okay. I said, what are you doing inside of yourself for your phone to ding every time somebody gets killed in the city? And she said, what am I doing inside of myself? I said, yeah, my phone dings every time somebody gets killed during a ceasefire, and it's really hard. So as mayor, your phone dings every single time somebody gets killed. What are you doing inside of you to get yourself ready for that? And she said, well, I'm retired now. I don't have a lot of time on my hands to do the things that Baltimore needs, because Baltimore is really hurting. And she goes on into her
scream
speech that she already had. So I didn't say nothing. I'm just looking at it, and I don't know what the look on my face was, but it must have been like, bitch. Because when she finished, she looked at me and she said, but what am I doing? I said, yes, that's my question. Specifically about murder. What are you doing to prepare yourself for murder? And she said, well, actually, I hadn't thought about it. I haven't done anything to prepare. I said, oh, well, you might not want to be mayor of Baltimore then.
Right.
And she was like, why do you say that? I said, because 4 times a year for 3 days, my phone dings every time somebody gets killed. I can't imagine if my phone went off over 300 times in a year because somebody got killed. I don't know what that does.
Statistically, that's once a day. Statistically, that's once a day.
At least in the past 5 days, 10 people got killed.
That's 2 a day.
Right. Right. So I was like, I said, so if you have not thought about that, I said, and it's too late to prepare for it now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the kind of work you would have needed to be doing to build your emotional and spiritual wherewithal before now. You can't suddenly get ready to get 300 murders on your spirit.
Mm.
And so if you haven't thought about it and haven't prepared for it, you might want to pull out of the race. Because
and on top of that, Ericka, is the fact that you haven't thought about it, so you have no plan to stop it.
Yep.
Wait. Listen to this hot shit right here. So I said, you might want to rethink your trying to run for mayor. On top of your personal life and everything else it takes to be mayor in Baltimore, and then murder, right? And she was like, oh, that's a good point. Well, maybe what I can do to prepare is reduce the murder rate so that there won't be so many notifications coming to my phone. And I said, that's cute, but that's not how it works, because you would step into the job now. Now you would step into the job. So by the time you reduce it, your phone's still going to ding hundreds of times before you actually, it's an epidemic. That's not something you just step into and will it to reduce so that your phone can go off less. Like, that's not how that works. That's not preparing for it. You still got to be ready now. She was like, okay, thank you for that. So then I realized that this chick is now like, and I didn't take her seriously at the time. That was February. I was like, nobody never even heard of this chick. She ain't gonna do nothing. And now she like in the top 4 of the people that's about to be mayor of Baltimore.
And what you have right there, that story, and the fact that you were Erricka Bridgeford, that story right there, if she gets any closer, you need to tell it.
Yep. I did tell it. Oh, I did. I told it immediately that weekend, but I didn't. Oh, because right after I finished talking to her, I went to, I'm sorry, because this is the answer to the question. After I talked to her, I went back to acting all crazy at the rally, and my phone dinged again because somebody got killed that day. And I literally just fell in the middle of the street on Emerson Avenue and cried like, I had never heard myself cry like that, in the middle of the street in front of everybody. And so that was one of the hardest. We never lost 3 people during the ceasefire before. Like, it just was, it was bad and hard. And so I told the story like the next day. I posted the whole story, but I didn't say who it was. And so like last week, I think, I realized that this chick was like high in the polls. And so I reshared the story, and I was like, I didn't say who she was before because I didn't realize that a nobody we never heard of was going to end up being,
right
at the top of that fucking race. But now that I see, I need y'all to know this was Mary Miller.
Wow.
White people of all kinds are now in my inbox saying, oh, I have been trying to tell my mother-in-law not to vote for Mary Miller, and I showed her the story you said, and now she realized she can't vote for Mary Miller. She needs to vote for Brandon Scott.
Huh.
Wow.
See, that's and that right there, that is our power. And this is what people need to start to realize is the way that Black Twitter mobilized around Amy, Karen, Amy, you know how I feel about her, fuck her, around her and what she did to Mr. Cooper, you know, and the way they mobilize in a matter of hours around her, of who she is, where she works, her record in life, all of those things, like we have a power in that. And the fact that we also have these platforms that we've been building because of all the problems that we have faced. And now that we have these platforms, we have the opportunity to simply put a post up that will change the game for some of these people who don't realize who they are talking to. She didn't know who she was talking to. And now I'm going to find that post and I'm going to reshare it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is how this needs to work. There needs to be a call to action around this, because that doesn't make any sense. And we know exactly why she's in that seat. Because she's white and she's woman, and Baltimore ain't seen one of those in their bill in I don't know how long, if ever. You know what I'm saying? So I know they want to change, but that ain't what change needs to look like. You know, so I thank you for sharing that story. Thank you, Diana, for that question. Anybody else have a question? We only have like 5 minutes left, and then we're gonna wrap. Any other questions? Y'all sitting there quiet as church mice. Y'all don't even want you don't ask a question. Say something nice to Ericka. Tell us something good on today. Go ahead, Dawn. I didn't remute you. You're muted. You're muted. There you go.
Hi everyone. Ericka, I'm right here in Baltimore with you, and I follow you a lot. But my question to you is: you talked about the Baltimore Ceasefire schools. Said you were in 3 schools. Is it okay to say what schools they are?
You're muted, Ericka. Let me see.
Sorry, I muted myself because my daughter had turned her music up real loud upstairs.
Okay.
Yes, the 3 schools are Creative City Charter Public School, Hazelwood Elementary Middle, and Lily Mae Carroll Jackson Middle.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
And also, you talked about you had 55 applicants pending for your training. I just want to say that I just launched for my program our first virtual workshop, and we do a lot of things too that are designed to create community, and you need to be in people's space and feel the energy and all that kind of stuff. And it is still working. So I want you to be mindful of that it's possible that you can do something virtually and you can still be effective.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I've had to. So the Lily Mae had their Ceasefire schools training. It was already scheduled, and then the world outside closed. And so we moved, their training happened on Zoom, and it still went well. I had to restructure it and some stuff, but yeah, I've been doing conflict management trainings and mediator and services, and I'm constantly, I feel like I got busier when outside closed than I was when it was open. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of trainings online.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
Tammy wants to ask a question.
Ericka, I know you. If you saw my face, you probably know more who I am. I'm trying to get in a room where my son isn't making a lot of noise. Okay, there we go. Just had to send you some love. So backstory, the brother that Ericka spoke of was a very good friend of mine. I grew up with her 2 oldest brothers. Know the baby. And so I'm just always so proud every time I hear you speak. Of both of you ladies.
Wait, so who was it? Who got killed that you know their family?
No, I'm telling them about your brother. I was talking to everybody else in the call that I know your brother.
My brother.
Yes, your brother. Yes. So yeah, maybe let me get in the light so you can see my face. So Zone 16, we went to 217 together. Still very, very close with Pop, and try to support as much as I can. Not in the city as much as I used to be, but I'm still following you heavy, doing whatever I can, whenever I can. So whenever you need me, just yell. Just wanted to let you know how proud I am of you. And every time I hear you speak, you just drop some more gems. So that Mary Miller thing really spoke to me, and I had been telling people about her for a while. So I'm about to go do the same thing as Michelle and take your post and repost it. Because I don't have a vote in the city anymore. My legal address is in the county. But as you know, my mother and I'm still around the corner on 16. So definitely want to make sure I get that out, because I've been telling people about her. And she was doing the same thing at a Baltimore Investors Collective that my sister and I went to on 41st Street over at the New Union. And she was over there doing the same thing, flapping her lips. And I was just like, yeah, so I was, just taking little snippets and
Yeah.
posting what I could. So I'm still here, sis. Whatever you need me out there
Yeah.
supporting financially, physically, whatever, just yell. I'm not going anywhere. And it's super real now that I got my own little brown boy to take care of. So
Yeah.
um, appreciate you. Always sending you love and light to you and Michelle both. Keep doing what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. She from round the way for real.
Yeah. And let me tell y'all something about Tam here. Tamara, what's your new last name? I always get it wrong. Anyway. She remuted herself. But she is a CPA. And she is, I'm a full transparency, she is my CPA. And I always tell people to go to her. She's a certified public accountant and she is badass. She does it for
Wow.
she does it for people. She does it for our people. And she a monster. So if you ever need that
Nice.
kind of resource, Tamara, hit it up.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have anything you want to say? I know that the chat was going all the way off. Okay, well, you know what? I want to just say, her name is Tamara Jackson. Tamara Jackson. If you go, she's on the network. Clearly, we're all on the network, so just find her there. You can just search her on the network.
Her name is Perkins.
Yeah, Perkins. That's it. Yeah, there we go. I be forgetting. So we do have some things in the chat. Rodney Ford, who was on, he says, "Much love for what you do, ladies. Got to drop off another meeting." Let's see. Dawn had to go, but she says she really enjoyed and look forward to connecting with Erricka around Baltimore. Nadia, before she got off, she said Baltimore ceasefire gives me hope.
Yay.
And so thank you so much for this conversation, Erricka.
Thank you for inviting me to this conversation. You're one of my favorite people anyway, so I was like, oh.
Yo, sometimes the stuff you be saying be having me going off in my house. Erricka be giving me life just on a random day. I get this tagged in a post from Erricka saying something about me on the social medias. And I'm like, no. I love you, boo. You the best. So I just think, this platform, I call this the conversation. And I think it's just very important that as we build this network, as we had.
Thank you, Shelly, for the nub love. I'm sorry.
What did she say?
Shelly said send the nub
love. Yes. And so I just want to say that this is the kind of platform that I'm going to keep building. We're going to keep building. We're going to have some more conversations. It's going to pop up in events. I want to get some powerful brothers on this. I recognize something in building this network that we have an asset. We have some really powerful brothers on the network. And the majority of the people who request to join or who are invited are Black women. We are heavy in this. We are heavy in community. This is what we do. And I want to make sure that we have a balance. I'm always, even in open mics, when I host my open mics, I always call up a male and a female. I feel like the energy is necessary to cultivate that and to hear all of our voices and all of our perspectives. So we're going to continue to do this, have these conversations. Erricka, this was so awesome. Like I said, I've been recording this. I'm also going to turn this into a podcast. So, everyone's going to get a chance to hear this and share this. So thank you again for your work.
I'm really excited. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're loving your like. Where else can we find you? What are your handles? What do we need to?
So we're Baltimore Ceasefire 365 on Brown and Healthy. And we try to be easy. So it's Baltimore Ceasefire on Facebook and on Instagram. Be More Ceasefire on Twitter. We're not real relevant on Twitter, except we share our stuff from Instagram to Twitter. I don't know as well. And if you would like to join our email listserv, you can go to BaltimoreCeasefire.com and click the contact page and just send us a message and ask to be on our listserv. And that means you'll get any emails we send out about things that are happening or upcoming. There's nothing too small you can do to be involved. So even if all you do is change your profile picture to the Ceasefire logo during a ceasefire weekend, or if you just share posts from the Ceasefire page or anything, right? There's nothing too little to do. So we just tell people, participate in the movement however your heart leads you to, however small or big your heart leads you to. Do that thing, because every little thing matters.
Ashe.
And if you go to BaltimoreCeasefire.com, you can also see the TED Talk about the Baltimore Ceasefire, which was one of my favorite experiences in life.
You crushed that. You crushed that TED Talk. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you did that. Yeah, Isis, I want to say Isis Ramirez says powerful Zoom convo. I want to make sure everybody's voice is heard on this platform. Thank you, Erricka. Go check out her TED Talk. It'll change your life. Share it. It's always relevant. And thank you guys. You have a good night.
Thank you.
How do I close this?